Gypsy has been called a near-perfect musical. Is it something you've always wanted to do?
It's such an interesting journey. I did it as part of the Patio Players when I was 13 years old, and I played Louise. And Kathy Sheldon was Rose. Of course, I remember nothing of her performance because that was an adult. I wanted to play, actually, when I was a kid growing up, I wanted to play Tulsa. I heard the Ethel Merman record, and I played it endlessly, and I loved Dainty June's I Have a Moo Cow, Tulsa's All I Need Is the Girl, and the Stripper's Number. I never, ever considered Rose or any of her material something I was interested in doing because she was an adult.
But later you became an adult.
Well, but I guess, your childhood memories are really strong. A lot of people have wanted me to play Rose, and I think because of a lot of the people that I respect enormously telling me that this is the role I should play, I had a desire to play it. And I guess, as David Mamet put it, everything is as it should be. The universe is unfolding. Here I am playing Rose.
Started when you did a version in Ravinia, Italy?
Ravinia's Chicago.
Chicago.
Right.
So did people see that and say, gee, we got to do something with this. We got to go for it. That was Lonnie Price who directed
Lonnie
that.
Price, and it was the Wells Kaufman and the Ravinia Festival. It was the Chicago Symphony Orchestra conducted by Paul Gemignani. It was, there was enough excitement around me playing this part that producers from New York City had scheduled trips to Ravinia and canceled them all because the 2 days before that terrorist plot where they were going to blow up 10 transatlantic planes from London to New York was revealed. So everybody canceled their tickets except for Jack Bertel of City Center Encores. And Jack was the only producer that came, and Jack told his brother Tom, if you don't bring this to New York, you're crazy. And what happened next was Jack and City Center Encores picked it up.
Well, the Bernadette Peters Sam Mendes version had been on Broadway just 5 years before, and producers, as I understand it, are reluctant to revive a show as soon, even one as great as Gypsy. So I'm sure that there was a bit of an uphill battle. But the response to that Encores, I know I saw it and I was overwhelmed. I thought, oh gee, if it doesn't make it soon, they got to do this eventually.
Thank you.
Most of the same cast, too.
It's entirely the same cast, except for one person. I'm sorry, Nancy Opel went out on the road with Drowsy Chaperone. She was replaced with Lenore Devitt.
So, and that one was directed by Arthur Lawrence, although it feels fairly similar, everybody says, to the one that was at Ravinia. No?
No.
Oh.
Well,
I read an awful. I never saw the Ravinia, so I read a lot of press, and it's amazing. One person says, "Oh, this is so much better than that." Other ones say, "Oh, it's very similar to that."
Right. Those Ravinia performances are so fast and furious. We actually had a longer rehearsal period for the Ravinia one.
You say fast and furious, they were taking it at a very fast tempo, I guess.
No, we put those shows on in 2 weeks, and that would include a technical period, and the stage of the pavilion at Ravinia is gigantic. So it's not an easy technical period. And so you figure if you have a 2-week rehearsal period for 4 performances, 5 of those days are taken up with technical. So you only have a week and a half, really, to rehearse these huge Broadway musicals.
Did you know most of it already?
I go to the Ravinia festivals knowing it all. I go to Encores knowing it all. I don't think it's fair to an audience to carry a book. And you are expected to learn it at Ravinia. You do rehearsal ahead of time. And the City Center Encore thing, I guess Equity passed a rule that you have to carry the book. So I remember when I did Can, I carried the book and then threw it down when I got on stage. Okay, I brought it in, but I don't need it. I don't think they were similar, but I think if you're comparing it to the Ravinia and Broadway to the Sam Mendes, I think then those two productions would be closer to the original concept of Gypsy.
Now, the Ravinia and the Encores, this also requires a lot of acting. This is not just a matter of learning these songs and then just doing a little patter in between. This is a very complicated part.
It surely is.
And you really have brought all sorts of nuance to it that I haven't seen in previous performances.
Thank you. Well, let me tell you about this particular production. When Arthur and I spoke, he said, I want to cast it with actors, and then he did.
I mean, rather than singers, you
Well,
being one of the only exceptions.
Well, I think when you cast a musical, you really are looking for the musical and the dancing ability before you're looking for the actor. Then City Center was not going to pay for the entire company for the full 3 weeks of rehearsal. So Arthur said, could I have the 11 principals for the first week? They said yes. We had a piano, we had a conductor, and we sat around a table for a solid week and just read the play and then read the lyrics. And what happened was we started to, we worked on the play. And Arthur, in the middle of this rehearsal period, said, it's never been rehearsed this way, at which point our jaws fell to the floor. What do you mean? This is a play. We don't need music. Thank God Gypsy has music, but you could stand this book on its own without music, and it would stand up.
Maybe that's why some people think it's the greatest musical ever written.
Exactly.
Because it has such a solid book by Arthur Lawrence.
And there's no fat on it.
And he's directing you on top of it.
Exactly. There's no fat on it, and it bleeds beautifully into the songs. I mean, the songs become part of the dialogue. So if it has never been rehearsed that way, which I find shocking and strange, I'm glad that we did it this way, because we really formed an ensemble of actors. Everybody, as Boyd puts it, owns a responsibility in this production. I'm working with the most incredible company I have ever worked with in my career. Nobody misses, and that is not typical of a musical environment. Nobody misses, and everybody goes on stage and gives 150% every single night.